Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in our chats with Emily, as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We are in the Johnson edition, and we turn now to poem 407, a short four-line offering. If what we could were what we would. I like to remind us that in poem 1063, Emily wrote, "Ashes denote that fire was." And I like this setup, that line as it relates to these very short four-line offerings. Something profound is going on here. And by the way, this will be for us one more reason that we call our conversations chats with Emily. That is to say, her use of the word talk will be, I think, significant here. Our assumptions are that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net down that left-hand side, chats with Emily, our playlist. I'm hopeful that you've worked through our set of introductory comments as well as the preceding 406 poems. We just finished with 406, Some Work for Immortality. And if you have, then you know that this idea of conversation and talking is central to so many of Emily's poems. She must have been a great talker. We know that she was labeled a great wit. I also think that the play Hamlet is standing behind a lot of Emily's thinkings about especially communication and talking. Do you guys remember when we did Hamlet? That in Hamlet Act 4, Scene 7, Claudius is talking to Laertes and he asks, "Was your father dear to you?" And Laertes will come back with, "Why did you ask me that?" And he'll say something about love as being a spark of fire. And he'll say it, "That which we would do, we should do when we would. For that would hath abatements and delays." I think it's possible that that line is standing behind these four lines. If what we could were what we would, criterion be small. It is the ultimate of talk, the impotence to tell. Now, I find this fascinating, the way that she will say this. If what, notice capitalized, we could, notice who is the we that she's referencing, were what we would, again sounding very much like Hamlet 4:7, criterion be small. Now, I told you guys that she uses this word small in 77 poems. Think of it this way, guys. If things work out, we don't have much to talk about, right? The criterion is kind of small. In other words, we got what we wanted. When we get what we want, there's really not a whole lot to talk about. However, she says it this way, it is the ultimate of talk. And by the way, the word ultimate will come back in 423, 633, 1184, 1274, and 1450. All of them will use this word ultimate of talk. I mean, think about why we would call our discussions here chats with Emily. Talk ends up in 19 poems. In fact, we'll see talk in the word of chatter in the next poem, 408, just in a few seconds. Notice, it is the ultimate of talk, the impotence to tell. Now, impotence here we'll see again in poem 854, and we'll hear tell in the next poem 408 as well. What's the point here that she's making? I think that she is arguing that conversation is best when there's something real to chat about. Can I use the word chat? We'll see it in the next poem. To chat about. At 2b, I love that we don't know who the we is in this poem. It would be so much fun to ask Emily, was there somebody that you were directed? Was it Sue and the conversations that you love to have with her? At 3a, I'd like for you to think, using a poem like this, and this is how do we define learning in 303? That capacity, that desire to creatively connect new information to old information in meaningful ways, right? Think about the great texts that we have studied. Think about the ultimate of talk that is showcased in so many of the great texts. I mean, think about Dante's Divine Comedy. And by the way, we've given full lectures on all the titles that I'm about to share. Think about Dante, the pilgrim, as he heads into limbo. And there, what is it that is the ideal, the heaven, if we can say this, for those who are in limbo? Well, they're talking. Right? They're talking. They're enjoying conversation. Or think about Iliad 9. There is Achilles. He has decided that he's going to withdraw from the battle. He is no longer interested in the two things that have always driven him, Kleos and Time, the reputation and the Scooby snacks of battle. And who shows up? Well, it's his pal Odysseus, Ulysses or Odysseus. And what is it that Odysseus and Achilles will then do? They will have conversation. Think about the conversation of Iliad 24, for example. And of course, Achilles again in the tent as King Priam shows up to have that conversation. And one of the most amazing conversations, I mean, if you'll think about it, the great I mean, think about all the great dialogue and conversation that happens in Milton's Paradise Lost, and on and on and on we could go, right? Finally, at 3B, what is your ultimate talk? And is it possible that it's happening with these chats with Emily? I hope so. Thank you.